Welcome to Homeside Chats. This is Andrea French, Executive Director for TAG, Transportation Advocacy Group. For today's episode, we're joined by TxDOT Houston District Engineer, Eliza Paul. Welcome, Eliza.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me to this.
Yes, and we know that you are so busy all the time, especially these days. And so we thank you for your time today and for an opportunity to just learn a little bit about more about what TxDOT has been experiencing and some of the challenges and opportunities that you guys have faced during the pandemic. So can you walk us through kind of from the beginning of the onset of the pandemic until now, and how your team has really kind of powered through everything?
Well, when the pandemic first hit, the first thing that we do was we sent all our design folks home. So I got a whole bunch of design people in the district headquarters over here. So everybody was sent home on the order. And we were lucky enough that a couple of years back that they were changing all our desktop computer to laptop. So everybody was able to take the laptop home and do the work and telework from home. And some of the designers actually even take the monitor home so that they can have the big screen, and then they may have two screens and to work on the bigger files and all that. So we've been doing that, but our area office, our field operation and our maintenance operations were ongoing. Those guys are the real heroes of during this pandemic. When the contractor is out there working, our field people, our inspectors, our project manager and all that, they are working out there. And whenever there's a pothole to fill, that we need to mow the grass and there's signs knocked down that we have to replace, all our maintenance people were out there working. So they were working continuously with our contractor, with our consultants. We have CI consultants out there that is also continuing doing the work. So that work was never stopped. We never miss a bit on that.
Great. So it sounds like you guys just pivoted pretty quickly to kind of respond. So one of the things, and some of my other conversations, including with Commissioner Ryan, that I've always found really inspiring is that TxDOT, before every major meeting, there's a safety briefing. And so I do know that TxDOT puts safety first all the time. And I'm not sure that that's something that everybody knows, how seriously you guys take safety on a daily basis. And so if any organization was prepared to provide safe working conditions and safety first, it was TxDOT right now. So thank you for that.
Yeah. We were making a lot of changes on our safety protocol. We were mostly really following what the governor directs. So
Right.
we have implemented a lot of additional safety protocol, and our offices are still not open to the general public, except with the exception of some special right-of-way hearings, which
Right.
some of them are just less than like 10 people. So we practice social distance and we were able to do some of that.
Very interesting. I think I appreciate that you kind of go through some of the different scenarios that we might not think about. Can you share a little bit how what was work like for the field crews and the construction crews for projects when traffic kind of went away, and then kind of compare that to now as people have started to come back on the roads a lot more, and kind of what that feels like?
Yeah, with the lower traffic volume out there during the COVID, when everybody's teleworking at home, what we were able to capitalize is we actually allow a lot of the contractor to extend their lane closure time.
Okay.
We were allowing them to do some of the lane closure work during the daytime instead of at night. On
Right.
some of our major highway, what we typically do is the total closure and all that, they have to do it between 9 p.m. at night and 5 a.m. in the morning.
Right.
So with the new traffic volume, we were able to extend some of those hours into maybe give them a couple more hours on the front end or on the back end of that closure. And we were also allowing them partial closures during this time on the main lane in the daytime.
Okay.
One of the biggest advantage, I can give you an example of a project on West Timer that we were going to do asphalt overlay the entire section on West Timer from 610 to Beltway 8.
Okay.
And that project originally was supposed to be done in about a year and a half or a year, 15 months type time duration. So originally, all the traffic control was supposed to be due at night. It was all night work between 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. As you can imagine how busy West Timer is.
Right.
Normally
You
it
say
was not.
Westheimer. I just kind of,
Yes.
yeah.
So with the traffic volume, we were able to allow the contractor to do a lot of the lane closures in the daytime. So, and give them additional lanes that they can go additional lanes also during the daytime. And we were able to finish that job in 6 to 7 months time as compared to the original a year, 12 months, a year and a half time frame. So we were really lucky there.
That's a drastic change, right? I mean, that's significant. Yeah, that's
Yes,
great. And what a great use of an opportunity, right? To be able to mobilize and continue working and kind of cut that timeline in half. So
yes. Another project that we were able to capitalize was the 610-59 interchange project.
Right.
Over there by the Galleria. As you know, everybody knows that that's the busiest highway in Houston over here. And what we were able to do is they were going to be able to advance some of the major closures. The total closures on 610 and on 59 that you currently also experience, but they were able to start some of those closures immediately after the rodeo close.
Okay.
When they closed the rodeo, originally we were going to have to wait until the rodeo is finished before we can do some of those major closures. But with the traffic volume, once the rodeo was canceled, we were able to go out there and start a lot of those major freeway closures, and we were able to hang a lot of the beams or girders across some of the direct connectors and the interchange and be able to kind of speed up and accelerate that project.
I know I went out for the first time in months in that area, and it probably had been about 2 months, and was just kind of looking around thinking, this isn't even, it looks like a whole different area. When did all this happen? I mean, it was phenomenal to see. I mean, just to see the progress that had been made since the last time I had driven over there. So pretty significant. So can you walk us through some of the other projects across the region? I know we've got some stuff with 288 and kind of just kind of walk us around and what other projects and updates, because there's a lot.
Yeah, we have a lot of other projects going on in the area, and if you can see on the layout with all the list of the project, the first one on the list is US 290. Everybody is familiar with that corridor, that project, and everybody is glad that it's finally we see the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
And we can see that project is about 99.5% complete.
Okay.
We just have some final striping, final cleanup, some punch list type items that we have to finish on 290, and that corridor will be done. The second one you saw on the list that say proposed Hempstead lanes. Originally, when we did the environmental for US 290, the Hempstead Highway and 290 was done as like a twin project to the US 290. So the plan was for us to build 290 corridor, and then we're going to go put the tolling on Hempstead at that time, you know, at that point in time, so that we can separate the traffic that is coming in from way out west over there to try and take the expressway to come in, and then 290 will be the general purpose lane proper.
Okay.
And with the construction of the 290, and there's some changes of plan that was going on, we are currently also still looking at building Hempstead, but not as a tollway. We're still building Hempstead. We're trying to build Hempstead from 610 all the way to State Highway 99 as two separate projects. Right. And we're looking at trying to progress the portion from Beltway to State Highway 99 first, It's in all brand new location in that area. And then we'll work on the piece from Beltway 8 to 610. But we will need some additional funding for that. Currently, that job is not funded.
Okay.
The third project on the list is State Highway 99, Grand Parkway. As everybody knows, that Grand Parkway is currently completed from 59 South to 45 North.
Right.
And we have a project that is building on the east side from 45 North all the way down to 146 on the east side. So that project is currently in construction. We're doing really good. The design builder is starting to build all the bridges. They're completing all the bridges first, and then they're going to fill in the gap and finish up the roadway portions. It's a long project, so it's going to take a little while, but they're making good progress on that project. So the next one, the fourth one on the list is the 45 North Freeway Corridor. And everybody know about that project. And I think we can talk about that. I'll skip that one and we can talk about that later in a little bit more, greater detail on that. The fifth one, State Highway 288 on the corridor, is the one that we're building from downtown to the Brazoria County line. It's a design build toll project that they are almost done. They're getting pretty close to opening up the corridor sometime by the end of this year, the toll portion of that. They still have a lot of miscellaneous work that they have to done on the frontage road and all that to finish up the project. But the toll lanes are going to be done pretty soon and open up. The sixth one and the seventh one is the 59, well, the sixth one is 59 610 interchange that we just talked about already. The complete reconstruction of the interchange. We're rebuilding all the direct connectors. We'll be rebuilding 610 main lane, total reconstruction of that. So they're making good progress, and they have actually, in fact, opened up some of the new connector ramps, the one from 59 North to 610 South. Right. That have an exit, a new exit to foreigners and all that. That one is complete and is open, and they continue to progress with making good progress on that project. The next one on the list in Fort Bend County is those series of projects on 59 that goes from Highway 6 to the county line. And we're doing complete reconstruction, widening that portions of 59, putting in HOV lane in there, and they're making good progress on that project. And we're going to try and complete that job in the next year or so. There's several jobs in that corridor. There's more than one job. So they're going to complete at a slightly different time frame from each other. And the eighth one, I guess I jumped the gun on 610 West Loop. That's the 610 West Loop one. And number 9 on the list is the 249 corridor. What we're doing is we're building somewhere over there from State Highway 99 all the way out to Grimes County. And we actually also has a portion in Grimes County that we are building. It's in brand new location. We are making very good progress on that project. And the first piece, phase 1 of that project, we're looking at opening it up soon, sometime in July, August timeframe on that first piece of the tolling on that project. So number 10 on the list, we're working on I-10 out west. These are the projects that we're working from State Highway 6 all the way out to Brazos River.
Right.
Those are also total reconstruction. We're adding a lane in the middle of the freeway. You know, right. As everybody knows that if you go to Austin on a Sunday afternoon, it's completely backed up in that section of I-10. Right. Even though maybe nowadays it's not as much, but typically it backs up pretty bad in that section over there. So that's a project to add another main lane over there to ease some of the traffic in that segment on I-10. And number 11 is a new project that we are looking at constructing on State Highway 35. Right. This project is in a brand new location. It goes from years ago when we built the Spur 5 project over there at U of H downtown. We actually built kind of like a we stop the spur 5 at a certain point. And so this project will picks up from that spur 5 location and takes it all the way down to 610 South. To 610 South, and we're also building a couple of connectors over there to take the traffic from there to 610.
Okay.
It's in a brand new location, even though it's called State Highway 35, it doesn't really follow the telephone road alignment. It kind of follow a little bit closer to the Makawa alignment, but it's all brand new location. Okay. And the importance of that corridor, what it does is it provides another viable alternative for the Gulf Freeway. When the Gulf Freeway is congested all the time, people can either go to Beltway 8 or go to 610 and pick up this section of 35. Eventually, we're going to continue 35 all the way down to Alvin. Okay. So people will be able to pick up from Beltway 8 and then take this into town. So it's another option. It will be a good option for evacuation also if there's a need to evacuate from 45 South in future once we get it constructed.
Right.
So that's some of the projects that we are ongoing.
Well, it doesn't sound like you guys are doing anything. I mean, my goodness, right? So seriously, I mean, I think about managing all of that work at one time in a pandemic, right? That's significant, and safety, and, you know, not to mention that we're all experiencing things personally in a different way. And so we're all kind of managing that as work teams and all of that. That's a lot. So thank you for running through all of that. It's significant. You mentioned the one piece that's not yet funded that you had on the list. Did you have Did you have a number for that? Was there kind of an amount of funding that's needed for that particular piece? And is that not in the, would that not be part of kind of the UTP? Is that what we're saying? It's kind of excluding of that?
It's probably in the RTP, you know, in the long range, in the long range plan. It's in the long range plan, but it's not in the UTP. Okay. And we had a preliminary estimate, but when we are that takes up a pretty big footprint on Hempstead over there. What the original schematic show. But since then, we have gone back and relook at, based on some input from City of Houston and all that, we are looking at actually shrinking the footprint of Hempstead. So when we do that, we'll have to come up with a new estimate for that. We're trying to kind of make it more compact, you know, as you can call it, especially in the portions from 610 out to the Beltway. We're trying to shrink the footprint a little bit, make it a little bit more compact. So we really have to actually update our estimate for that portions of Hempstead.
This is the time of the year when TAG starts to redo or revise our motion map, which takes a look at all of the different agencies and all the different modes and kind of what's needed and what's out there. And it's, you know, it's unconstrained. So meaning, if we had the money, what would we build, kind of thing, right? So what's still out there that needs funding that we don't have funding for currently. And so I know you guys have been great as we've worked through that iteration. I think this is our 5th annual one that we'll be doing. And obviously COVID impacts many things, but you know, things like Metro Next and RTP and all of that, UTP will continue. And so we're just gonna kind of go back and look at that and see what's outstanding and what's left, especially as we go into a legislative session and we really want to talk about what the needs are of Houston going forward.
I just want to take this opportunity to go over some of the, when you talk about the motion map, I want to bring out some of these studies that we have been doing on some of our major corridors so that everybody will know what we are currently studying and all that. So if you look at the list, the first one on the list, what this PAL study is our preliminary engineering linkage studies. And before we go in and created a construction project for that corridor, what we do is we look at each of the corridor and we go out there and solicit public input. And we work with the consultants and everybody to study the route and to try and see what improvement we need within that corridor. And then those will further get refined and eventually it becomes the projects that we are building out there.
Right.
So the first corridor we're looking at is on I-10 on the east side, from downtown, from 69 downtown, all the way out to State Highway 99. As you all know, that part of I-10 hasn't been touched for quite some time,
Right.
you know, and so that is very important. And we have a lot of truck traffic that is going on that east side of town, and the ship channel and the Port of Houston is all in that general area.
Right.
And then we're also, at the same time over there, we're also currently working on a project at I-10 at San Jacinto,
Okay.
which was the bridge that got hit by the barge several
Right.
times. And we've been doing several different projects to try and do the immediate repair for the bridge. But we also have a long range project to try and completely rebuild that bridge, to span it over the waterway so that it won't get hit by the barge anymore.
Okay.
So when we are looking at rebuilding that bridge, we were trying to incorporate and look at what that whole I-10 corridor on the east side will need, not in the next 5 years, but in the next 10 to 20 or 30 years down the road. So that's what this PL will help us look at that. And we'll also, when we look at that, we also look at all the different modes of transportation. We're going to take a look and see who's going to fit into this corridor and be able to leave rooms in there for other people, for the innovative vehicle, for transit, for whatever that needs to go into that corridor in the future. And the other corridor we look at on 45 is from Beltway 8 North to Loop 336 in Conroe.
Okay.
So this is really a continuation of the I-45 NHIP. As you all know, it will take you all the way out to Beltway 8. And this new study will be picking up from there and head north to go to 336. So that's another study. The third one that we have is on I-69, the Southwest Freeway, from Spur 527 over there, downtown, to Beltway 8. That particular section, it was built a while back, and we really haven't gone back in and take a good look at that section to see how everything needs to fit together. We're rebuilding a lot of the other freeways surrounding that section of the freeway, and so we just need to look at that and try and upgrade that too. The same is true for the 45 South segment that goes from downtown to Beltway 8. That is a section that is pretty old. We built that section of the freeway a long time ago, and 45 South currently, we have a project that goes all the way from Beltway 8 all the way out to the Causeway that we are totally doing complete reconstruction on. We have a bunch of projects over there in that corridor. So this piece that was in the middle of the town has not been looked at. So we're going to be looking at that piece in this new study. The final one that we put on the list is on 225 from 610 to 146. This will tie into the I-10 East study, and also have a project there looking at rebuilding the ship channel. The ship channel bridge has been a bridge that has been built long time ago, you know, before I even started working at TxDOT. That bridge was built a long time ago. So it's not there yet, but it will get to the point that eventually we will not be able to do the repair that we need to keep it going. So we know that it will take probably 5 to 10 years before we will get that project in the book. So we want to get ready and start putting that on the radar, on everybody's radar screen, and start studying it and start trying to make it fit everything else that is happening in the Houston region. So, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for going through all of that. That's, you know, very, very thorough. You have to know a lot about a lot all the time. So what's kind of existing, what's planning, what's under construction, what's not. And then there's all the funding pieces of it, right? Which creates a lot of other things to focus on and concentrate and keep track of, quite frankly. So thank you for that. You know, one of the things too, I thought about as you were talking is you said that you have to think about what Houston needs for what's going on, right? So obviously before COVID, our big focus was population increase. It still is population increase, but I know that's one of the major factors that we look at when we're planning our transportation system and our network, kind of the needs of the system. And as you increase population, you increase the needs of the system and the wear and tear. you know, right now too, while maybe our usual traffic was slowing down, certainly the freight and goods movement was accelerating. And that's something that not everybody thinks about on our roads is significant, is the freight movement, and the big trucks and all of the port traffic that you were mentioning as well. All of that you all have to kind of connect to and make sure that when those ships come in and things are unloaded, the system is there to welcome them and to operate in a way that moves things efficiently. So I think we've all appreciated efficient movement of goods during all of this, when we've been not able to be as mobile. So thank you for that. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to add to that. I mean, James Koch, he was my transportation planning director, and
Mhm.
he's always said that there are about 2 or 3 Amazon trucks on the weekend in his neighborhood delivering goods to people.
Yes. Yeah.
The way that people shop, especially under this COVID environment, and the trend that people are shopping are changing. There's a lot of different ways. I mean, I don't go to the grocery store, buy grocery anymore. I either do curbside or have them deliver to the house. So there's still a lot of different kind of traffic that is out there generating because of the different way we are purchasing and we are buying. And I don't know if a lot of people there were a lot of distribution centers
Mhm.
popping up on the I-10 on the west side.
Yes.
You know, there were Amazon have something over there, and there's a lot of other distribution center that is building, and they're coming into Houston because Houston has such a big population, and it demands a lot of goods and services. You know, everybody wants to have their food, they want to have their clothes and all that stuff, and rightfully so. But
Right.
that created a lot of demand that needs to be for the traffic to either deliver the good to the stores or deliver the goods to people's home, which is what's happening nowadays.
Right. Right. Absolutely. So, kind of looking at the existing construction and kind of talking about the planning, which is so helpful because that really helps us talk about I-45, because that planning process started a long time ago. You know, recently there's been a lot more focus on it, as we kind of get towards what some people feel is a finish line, but it is by no means a finish line. And so when you talk about those projects that you just mentioned that you're already starting to plan for, so, you know, I-10 East, that was really where I-45 started. It was a study a long time ago, and you know, and here we are today. And so, can you kind of walk us through that and just talk about again, you know, your team and kind of how you're working with the partners, the other partners, you know, city, HGAC, and kind of how we're moving forward with that project.
As you say, TxDOT has been working on this project probably since the 2000s. You know, in the 2013 timeline, a study was done, you know, to look at the entire corridor for both for transit and for vehicle traffics.
Right.
And what the results of that study was the red line, you know, that was built by Metro
Right.
was the transit element that was a result of that study.
Right.
And TxDOT was supposed to build 45, and it took us a little bit longer to come to today's effort, was the reconstruction of 45 and what we have put in the original schematic of 45, to include the additional managed lane, to add additional lane for capacity, you know, because we think there's capacity, and to build the 3-lane frontage road. That was what was originally in the schematic. The timeline, if you can look at it, it shows from the year 2000 to the year 2030,
Right.
which is probably the entire duration of the project, both segment 1, 2, and 3, until we finish the construction. And if you look at that first gray bar on there, it talks about the public engagement.
Right.
And it's showing that the public engagements really happen from the beginning of the projects all the way. It never stops until the end of the project. It will go through the entire we are still in the preliminary design and planning stage of the project. And then it will go through the detailed design phase. We're still going to have public engagement during that time. And definitely during the construction phase, whenever we are out there actually constructing the project. So if you look at the chart, the red line is pretty much where we are at right now. Our main concentration right now is really trying to get the NEPA, the environmental process, finished. The schedule, what we're looking at is we're at the point, the draft EIS was put out in 2017. And then we're in the process of trying to finalize the FEIS. And we're looking at finalizing that FEIS in summer, we call it summer this year. We're working on doing it in probably July, August timeframe is what we're currently looking at right now. And then with that, we're hoping to get the record of decision sometime in late summer, in late summer 2020. And parallel with that effort, at the same time, we are also starting the procurement process for segment 3 of the 45 project. And so we started soliciting input earlier, late last year, and then we have a couple of amendments that we have to change during the process. And currently we're looking at trying to get the proposal from the developer for us to pick the developer sometime in June. This is just to shortlist the number of developers so that we can go into the next phase and we do the RFP, the request for proposal, that we go into the detailed design and look at the project and then pick the developer that is going to help us build the project. So the timeline for that is in July, we're going to receive the proposal. It will take us a month or two to evaluate that proposal. And then by fall, we're going to try and do the conditional award by late summer. We're going to receive some of the proposals from the developer, and then we'll start the next process and send out the RFP. And then by early spring 2022 or fall of 2021, we'll have the conditional award to the developer, and early spring 2022, we'll have the contract execution to pick the developer to help us do this project. So all that is ongoing, and the latest that is happening on I-45 that everybody knows about and everybody's very interested in is the letter that was sent to us by the mayor. And we appreciate the mayor and the City of Houston Planning Department, as well as Harris County and also Metro and all the other group that was involved in the facilitation meetings, for giving out the input to the City of Houston to contribute to the letter from the mayor that was sent to us to address. So we received that last month, in the middle of last month. And then since then, what we have been doing is we're collecting information, trying to digest and understand all the asks that was included in the paper, in the letter. As you all know, there's about 4 or 5 pages of different asks that covers different areas, from reducing the footprint of the freeway, building a 2-lane frontage road on segments of the frontage road, and solving some of the flooding issues in the area, and taking care of displacement, how we're going to handle some of the displacement in the area. And there are also questions in there that talks about what I call connectivity, that they ask about certain entrance, exit ramps, certain connection of different roadways that once you tie to one way or the other, or a little bit different than what was in the schematic and all that. And there's also a segment in there talks about different items that will help with the green space.
Right.
parks and items like that. And also there's something in there that talks about the aesthetics element of the
Right.
freeway, that talks about that parks and the aesthetic elements and all that.
Right. And I think that's, and thank you for kind of going through all that detail. I know it's significant on top of all the other things that we discussed and all the other projects that you guys are working on right now. I think it's important that, people tuning in also understand that, kind of go back to that safety conversation. And that's threaded through a lot of this conversation as well, where every time we make a change, that's one of the major vetting pieces, is the safety of it. So does this make sense from a construction standpoint, an engineering standpoint, a design, a space, and safety? We can talk about things, in a way that we think of it as a user of the system, but we truly don't understand some of the implications of what that does to the safety of a system. And so I know that's always going to be top, is the safety of a system. So it's a lot of details. I appreciate that you are treating it like a homework assignment. I think if I got a letter from the mayor, I would I would need a lot of books. I would need a lot of books to make sure that my answers were correct, because it's the integrity of what you do every day, and so we appreciate that. And we look forward to the continued collaboration of all the different agencies. That's been really great to see that there is that constant communication. You mentioned your conversations about how we're going to have conversations, right? That's even important in the process. So that's great. And you all are to be commended for taking that on, and for being proactive with these other groups, to really find the best thing that works. We know that that as it exists is not okay for what we need. We all can agree on that. And so it's just about, completing that puzzle in the best way possible. So thank you. Thank you for that. And I do want to, one of the things that we also talked about with Commissioner Ryan, going back to the safety conversation, it was a little disheartening to see that the numbers for fatalities didn't go down as much during the COVID kind of pause in traffic as we had perhaps hoped. It was one of the rays of sunshine I thought we might see, and it did dip slightly, but not as much as we thought. And so, Commissioner Ryan's message was, slow down, that it's speed that seems to be the issue, as the roads were not as populated. People were taking advantage of higher speeds. And that's so instructive to me as a driver, and, to other drivers out on the system, that it's distraction, but it's a lot of speed too. And so I don't know if you can, and you have your crews out there as well, and their safety is important. It's not just the drivers, it's who else is around the road, either doing construction and things like that. So I didn't know if you had anything to add to that comment, or I know you're on the front line still.
Yeah, I'll add a little bit. I mean, Commissioner Ryan is really the champion of promoting all of the safety issues, and the champion on Vision Zero and all the other TxDOT initiatives that we were coming up with for safety. Some of the things, and as you mentioned, that speed is really a big issue here during the COVID-19 event, because there were less traffic out there, and the people just tend to drive faster. And when one person start driving faster, all the other one follow suit. It's
Right.
like when they drive faster, I have to drive faster too. So I've always tell my own people, and also the contractor, when they're out there working, please be extra vigilant on the traffic during this time period. Even though there are less traffic out there, but the speed of what people are driving, and when they have an accident with a high speed, the chances of a severe accident, a severe injury or fatality is a lot greater also. So
Right.
that's why we're seeing that fatality number has not gone down, because if they have an accident, 9 out of 10 times it's either a severe accident, very severe injury, or a fatality accident.
Right.
So, but the other thing on top of that is the distracted drivers are still out there. You know, the people are not going to stop looking at their cell phone and looking at all that just because there's COVID. In fact, they think there's less car out there. I can cruise along and do that a little bit more often and easier. So that's the second thing that I'm saying that is really, really important. The distracted driving is the cause of a lot of accidents. And we're also looking at doing some study and looking at pedestrian safety and bicycle safety.
Right.
You know, as there's a lot more people are using bicycle. I saw in the paper that they said the bike shop can keep enough bikes for people to buy out there and use. So there's a lot more cyclists out there, and there are a lot more people walking also, just to try and get some exercise in and all that, because they are cooped up at home. So we're very serious about looking at additional safety for the pedestrian, for the cyclists and the pedestrian at our intersection, to try and see if we can do something and come up with a new design. And there's a lot out there. FHWA has come up with some. Our Austin division has come up with some, you know, and some of them works good in certain situations. Some of them doesn't work as good. So we just need to take a good look and vet it with the intersection and see which one is right for that particular location, for that situation, to try and make everything a little bit more user friendly for the pedestrians.
Right. No, thank you. Thank you for all of that. So, you know, we talked a lot about the work that you do and your team every day, and kind of how you've pivoted through COVID and kept things moving. In some ways, our industry has been very fortunate because we've had the ability to keep working and to keep things moving when others have been halted. However, that doesn't make it any less challenging from the day to day. If there was something you kind of personally have learned about yourself or maybe about your team through this process, I think we've all grown for sure, individually and professionally. But if you could share something maybe personal that you've experienced that's been different.
Well, I want to take this as an opportunity to thank all our partners. You know, our employees, you know, our field employees and all that, they are the heroes. But I don't want to forget our contractors, our consultants, you know, even the one that's working out there, the CEI, but not just the CEI, in design, our consultant partners and everybody, and my design people, they're all working together, and everybody never miss a bit. We led all our project last month. There was no delay. There wasn't even an addendum, you know, that we have to put in for our project. So even though we were doing everything by hand, you know, pretty much, we were doing the letting and all that. We were doing the estimate by hand. We're doing the letting by hand. So all those people are there working every day, you know, behind the scenes at home. In fact, I've noticed, and I have some employees tell me they've worked harder than ever. You know, they're at home working with the telework, and they're actually working harder than they ever have worked. And one of the other things that I have noticed, that communications is really, really important during this COVID-19 timeframe. And there's a lot of different changes that is happening every day. There were new policy that was being implemented because of CDC guidelines and because of things that is going on. So we were trying to provide the information to our field supervisors, to our employees, so that everybody is aware of what's going on. And we were doing like WebEx, teleconference, phone calls. I'm having weekly calls with my supervisors, my area engineer, maintenance supervisors, and also my staff supervisors and all that, to make sure everybody understand the rules and regulations and what they have to do to social distance, and where are the supplies coming from and all that. Everybody need face masks. Where are we getting some of those? What other PPEs does everybody need? So there's a lot of communication that has to go on during this time period, that we have to make sure that that happens so that the work can go on
Right.
during this time frame.
Right.
And one of the other things that I have learned that I'm not really a true believer of telecommuting that much before the event,
Okay.
but in Houston typically have only a small percentage of people telework at home.
Right.
But with this COVID event, I was shocked. I was really shocked by how easily that everybody adapt to the new environment.
Yeah.
And everybody was adapting to the team meeting, Zoom meeting, WebEx.
Right.
And one of the things that was really hurt us a little bit was we got attacked by the ransomware
Right. Right.
on a computer. So
Yeah.
it kind of slows us down a little bit. We have some issues with everybody trying to reset password and all that, and we're working through that.
Right.
But I'm just amazed how resilient my employees are, and also the consultants and contractors and everybody.
Right.
You know, we all work together during this crisis. We all have the prize in our goal. You know, we all know what we have to achieve. What
Right.
our goal is to keep all the projects going and keep all our work going continuously. And we
Right.
were able to achieve that, not just achieve that, but I think we exceeded
Right.
my expectation, at least, I think and I want to thank everybody for that.
That was Homeside Chats. We hope you enjoyed our program today. This series would not be possible without the support of our 2020 mobility partners. We thank you. Stay tuned for more episodes of Homeside Chats.